AEW has existed for over 5 years now and has signed many wrestlers in that time. Some wrestlers stick around and have been in AEW since day one or a few years now, with no end or departure in sight. But some AEW signings are just doomed from the start and very quickly are dropped from AEW and could be looked at as being a pointless signing. And today we're going to look at a few of those cases as we look at some of the dumbest AEW signings of all time. Like and subscribe. On the December 22nd, 2022 episode of AEW Dynamite, the Mogul affiliate stable would make their debut in AEW by attacking Keith Lee. Being led by Swerve Strickland, this new stable consisted of himself, Rick Ross, Parker Boudreaux, and another tattooed guy, who nobody was able to immediately identify, which meant this was a new AEW signing, as the others in the stable were all people that had appeared in AEW previously or were known to be signed. Swerve Strickland had been signed to AEW since the start of that year. Parker Boudreaux, though also a random signing, had been signed for some time and was part of another random stable before in the Trustbusters. Heck, even Rick Ross had appeared in AEW before the forming of the Mogul affiliates. However, this tatted guy clearly was someone who was new and hadn't appeared in AEW before. And once again, nobody knew who this was at first. People suspected he was an indie wrestling talent, but still, nobody was able to dig up any old matches or anything to find out who this was, but it was eventually revealed that this guy was known as Trench. Real name Grandin Goatsman, he's a former baseball player who was 30 at the time of signing with AEW and had zero prior wrestling experience. Regardless though, you can definitely say that Trench had a great look and looks like he belonged in the Mogul affiliate, but it was gonna be interesting to see how he would do and how he was as a wrestler, considering he had no experience and was being thrown into a major company. He would continue to appear on TV along with the Mogul affiliates as Swerve would continue feuding with Keith Lee in their never-ending feud, but as the months went on, Trench still hadn't wrestled a match or to my knowledge even spoke all that much, and the Mogul affiliates would become more and more of an afterthought as the months went by. Then in March 2022, both Trench and Parker Boudreaux would go down with injuries, and in their absence the Mogul affiliates would pretty much dissolve and come to an end when Swerve formed the Mogul Embassy with the Gates of Agony and Brian Cage as his new stablemates. And then in June of 2023 it was reported that AEW had no further plans for Trench and Parker, and sure enough, on July 3rd it was reported that Trench was no longer under contract with AEW, having had zero matches and being a complete afterthought from the moment he debuted. I bet most of you watching don't even remember him. A completely pointless signing. On the October 23rd, 2013 episode of WWE NXT, the ravishing Russian Lana would make her WWE debut, scouting Alexander Rusev, the man she would eventually become the on-screen manager of, as CJ Perry, who played Lana, had no wrestling experience prior to signing, but quickly embraced the role she was in and was brilliant in her role, particularly with her excellent mic work. And her and Rusev were a great act together, and after a quick NXT run, they were called up to the main roster in 2014 and would quickly rise up the roster as Rusev would become US champion in November. He'd have a great reign, which of course included the match against John Cena at WrestleMania, which of course he lost, but Lana was there as well through all of this, and it was a great spot for both of them. But after Rusev lost, the rest of Lana's WWE run was kinda weird. They teased a breakup between Lana and Rusev on TV, but after it came out they had got married in real life, those plans were quickly reversed, and she would continue to accompany Rusev and even started wrestling herself and had a few matches over the years, but the less said about them the better. Then in 2019 there was that weird storyline with her and Bobby Lashley, and then that weekly period of Nia Jax putting her through tables, and after Rusev was released from WWE in 2020, Lana would stick around for a bit, but eventually she herself was released from the WWE on June 2nd, 2021. She would go inactive in wrestling for a bit, but she would return to wrestling when she made her AEW debut on the All Out pay-per-view in 2023, coming to the aid of Miro, who seemed hesitant about CJ Perry now managing him. She was under the name of CJ now in AEW, and she would later say in a Collision interview that she would not be managing Miro in AEW and looking for other clients instead, and thus would start managing Andrade, who funnily enough found himself feuding with Miro. Andrade and Miro faced at World's End, where Miro won in what was Andrade's final match for AEW, and one where CJ turned on him to realign with Miro, as it looked like she was now going to be the full-time on-screen manager for him. But after this, CJ was never seen on AEW again, as Miro went out with injury, and it was also revealed that they had divorced, so would be kinda awkward putting them on TV together. And CJ revealed in July of this year that she was no longer with AEW, and her appearances were pretty much for nothing. Perhaps the AEW signing that got the most backlash of them all though was the signing of Ric Flair to the company. Ric Flair doesn't need any introduction. He's the former 16-time champ, the longtime veteran and legend, and you'll most likely remember him from all his escapades in the WWE, you know, Evolution and all that. Ric Flair had his retirement match in WWE in 2008 and then his actual retirement match in TNA in 2013, before he had one more match in 2022, and somehow on the October 25th, 2023 Dynamite, he managed to worm his way into AEW. He debuted as a gift to Sting, or something apparently, and he would accompany him and appear with him on TV leading up to Sting's final match. But the reason why Ric Flair's signing caused so much backlash was due to past allegations made against him relating to the plane ride from Hell incident, which were publicized in the 2021 Dark Side of the Ring episode about the incident. But even just removing that and pretending that didn't even happen, this signing is still just so utterly pointless and dreadful business from AEW. Because yeah, sure, whatever, it's for Sting, but Sting just had his final match. He's retired and seemingly not going to be on AEW TV all that much in the future, if at all. So what is Ric Flair even there for now? Why would you sign Ric Flair on a multi-year deal when Sting is retiring in 4 months' time? Make it make sense. Do you really need the Woo Energy sponsorship that badly? Which, by the way, in case you weren't aware, Ric Flair has an energy drink called Woo Energy, which sponsors AEW, and you probably didn't know this because I'm convinced that not a single person on the planet has ever tried or even seen this energy drink anywhere before. So yeah man, overall a really pointless signing, and I wonder what's even going to happen with him for the remaining potential years left in his contract, because his signing felt pointless and dumb already, but now without Sting there, it's even more pointless and dumb. Guys, that's it from me. Let me know in the comments down below what you think is the most pointless and dumbest AEW signing thus far in their 5-year history. Leave a like on the video if you did enjoy it, subscribe, and also leave a comment saying what videos you want to see next on the channel. Subscribe, like I said, with those notifications on. I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye from me, Tom, and editor Greg. Goodbye, and keep on rolling.